Hello, everybody. It's Friday night and it is Weekender time once more. And we've another packed show with all the goodness from across the industry in the last 7 days. And this week, it's a small world. We have Smol miniatures, we've an epic indie, and we've got a hex-based system of 3D printing that will allow you to make mighty empires. So sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Weekender. I've got Justin, John, and Ben with me. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hola.
Yeah.
It's going to be another fun-filled week. There's a ton to get through. But before we do that, we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing in the new year. Starts in December, to be fair. But it does run all the way through the new year.
It does.
Old but new, but yeah.
Yeah.
Dungeonalia, all the fun of a dungeon with some alias.
Yeah. So this is another one of our big community sort of projects, challenges for you to dive into and have some fun with. Warren will have mentioned this on the Cult of Games XLBS show a few times for backstages and stuff like that. So if you have seen that, you will know a little bit about this. But this is going to be running from 1st of December through to the beginning of March. So it covers pretty much all of winter, essentially. In fact, it does cover all of winter and a little bit more because leap years and stuff. So there. But yes, you'll be able to dive in and have some fun with this. The idea is that you're going to be able to just jump into the project system and start doing all sorts of things dungeon related. That could be building dungeons, that could be painting up parties of adventurers. It could be writing adventures for you to play out throughout these months. It could also be painting up loads of monsters for you to throw into the different dungeons to have fun with and ruin the lives of all your friends, and everything in between, basically. We're going to have a couple of different categories, of which Jerry is showing off a few here. So we've got Dungeon Stonemason, which is the person who builds the best three-dimensional dungeon build. So this could be scratch built, or it could be using 3D printed parts or existing plastic components and all that kind of good stuff. There is Dungeon Architect, which is 2D dungeons. So that's looking at to building sort of like interesting dungeons on sketch paper and that kind of thing. That could be doing it in the classic way with graph paper and pens and all that kind of stuff, which is what I'm going to try and do. Or it could be going into dungeon creation software and sort of building up dungeons in that regard if you wanted to. There's then Dungeon Master, which is your narrative campaign story driven thing. So if you want to dive in and actually write a full adventure or write some encounters to pop into a D&D game or something else, maybe it's even a skirmish game. It doesn't necessarily have to be role playing. You can put that together and sort of fill out your project with loads of interesting art and things like that, and have fun in that regard. There's also then two which are sort of a little bit more about miniatures and modeling. So there's Dungeon Heroes and Dungeon Monsters, and they're fairly self-explanatory, I guess. This could be for painting up awesome bands of heroes for your players to be using on the tabletop, or you could be painting up loads and loads of monsters, as you can see there. That looks like a terrifying encounter with lots of big boys. So yes, don't get in their way.
They could be the heroes. You don't know.
They could be the heroes.
What you can't say is, what you
I've
can't see
played
is just outshot are a bunch of racist elves who've come in to murder them up.
Exactly.
Rolling in, throwing insults, and they're like, "Excuse me, we're just living here. Why are you in my house?"
Yeah, this is our dungeon. Can't you see the lights are on? But yeah, the final category as well is Dungeon Younglings, and this is for anybody under the age of 14 to dive into and have fun with. If you want to sort of dive into that category, get your kids involved in that kind of stuff. That can be across any of the categories that we've already mentioned, and it's just for having a youngling diving in and have some fun. It could even be as simple as just playing some games and writing up the reports that you did for that as well. So
we've got a whole for that one. Can you put youngling in the title of the project? Because there's no other way that we can filter that one. We just have to go based on when somebody logs it up there. So that would make my life much easier.
Yeah. So as always with our sort of challenge and stuff, there will be a Dungeonalia tag in the project system that you'll be able to dive into. So once you've made your project, make sure you tag it with Dungeonalia. Otherwise, as Jerry said, you won't be able to find it.
Don't make me go looking.
and sort of it maybe put in the title as well as Jerry was saying what you've put and what sort of category you're looking to do. So stonemason, architect, master, all that kind of good stuff.
I mean, some projects may hit several of them.
Exactly. Yeah,
depending on how you go.
Yeah. Yeah. You could
with
be doing the
two-dimensional
plans and then
one-
you could do like a big one later on
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah.
With the 2-dimensional one, would that also cover doing the virtual tabletop-y things like your roll
If
20?
Well, unless they're like yourself,
Fireforge or
Jared, it's just like, what is this computerized dungeons? Give me pen and paper.
Well-
This is the only way.
Well, it makes more sense for me. I do know some people use those, but I don't know if they exist in a vacuum. Can they be pulled out to put in the project system? Because if it's just something that lives in a foundry somewhere, like I say, I don't know. I don't know if they can be designed in there and actually shown off in our project system.
I mean, 2 words: print screen.
Oh, sure. Okay. do that.
essentially, with that one, however you want to, as I say, if you want to sketch it out on graph paper or if you want to design it in a dungeon creating app or something like that, or if you just want to do it off your own back in Photoshop or something, that's also great. Just, show off your skills and put it into some project systems and have some fun. Yeah, so, very cool.
I'm looking forward to seeing what people come up with that isn't fantasy based, because every one of those images defaults to the idea of a dungeon being a D and D style fantasy encounter. However, Aliens, is technically a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other really interesting sci-fi and steampunk and things like that you could really go nuts with.
For me, zombie apocalypse, working your way through either a military base or your local shopping mall.
Yep.
Yeah, Dungeons is a very open-ended thing. If you want to do space hulky stuff, if you want to do zombies, all of that is fine. Yeah, we're going to be looking at loads and loads of entries over the course of December, January, February, March as well, and sort of talking about all of these and putting together sort of posts, looking at some of the best that we've seen, and then eventually at the end of it, there may even be prizes.
Wow.
I can say yes, there will be prizes, but
Spoilers.
yes, there will be prizes for some of these categories. Well, in fact, all
Santa Warren turning up late in the new year.
yes, exactly. It's the Christmas you didn't know you needed.
in
We'll
March.
call it Christmas 2.
Yeah.
It'll arrive just in time for St. Patrick's Day. And you can hawk them all and get drunk on the money. Right, so that's what's going to be coming up in, oh my God, a week. Sweet zombie Jesus, the year has gone.
It's a good job that I'm firing emails out like Billy-O, isn't it?
This is what I noticed. The older I get, the quicker the years seem to roll through. Jerry, for you, it must be like light speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a scientific reason for that. Because it's all to do with perception of time. And as you get older, you realize that time as a fixed point is relatively short. Whereas when you're younger, you don't really know how long. That's why summers when you were kids always seemed like an endless day. There's really interesting papers written about it. I'll leave people at home to go and look them up for themselves.
I may go and look it up myself.
But yeah, it is. It's a known fact. Right, and on that note. Let's move away from statistical analysis and into the indie of the week. And this week's indie is a follow-up to last week's indie. I did say they were sister companies in a way. Last week we had a look at the bigger things, the 30 mils, with a little touch of 6 mil at the end with the Troublemaker little tiny sci-fi film.
Yes. Yeah.
Vanguard is the sister site / retail partner. And Vanguard pretty much exclusively do smaller stuff. They also have a few other companies that they do bits and pieces with. So I'll go to the gallery for once. Because I never really go to galleries. I normally skip them and then run off, cackling into the night.
Do they do tiny nuns with guns?
They don't kind of yet, really, but they do other stuff. So as you can see,
heart music.
Yeah, as you can see, there's a very seminal feel to it. There's a lot of communities out there who play classic epic, and Battlefleet Gothic and games of that ilk that you can't get anymore. And then obviously there are a ton of spin-offs and other companies producing their own small scale sci-fi games. So there's a relatively big, even before GW talked about bringing back Legio, you may not buy it on eBay from a scalpel or whatever it's called. There was already tons of people looking for stuff and making stuff. And these are some of the 6 mil from their Defect and Detail, I think. range. Look how cute those orcs are. But they also do 3mm and 15mm, as well as
Very
bringing in
nice.
a few other bits and pieces as well.
Cool.
So I'm just going to go to there.
Oh, crikey. Okay,
And-
there's a lot.
Blimey, Charlie.
Yeah.
I will start with Battle Group Helios. So this is essentially a set of sci-fi ships that match the army types / nation / world of the Defeat in Detail. There we go, Defeat in Detail. Armies, but these are just their spaceships. So you'll see when we go into some of the actual armies, the ground troops, they have they've got not just very distinctive looks, they have some of them are very distinctly, this would work for Eldar. Some of them are, this is theoretically the same faction as that Eldar, but looks very different. With the ships, it's a bit less cut and dry. They're not, some of them are very distinctly Chaos / Space Marine adjacent, and then other ones where you would think, well, it should be more sleeky Eldar looking or still a bit blocky and stuff. So if you're wanting to run these out for something like A Billion Suns or other ship-to-ship combat games as well, they would work for that. But obviously Gothic was a really tight rule set, with the exception of when they added the Eldar, which I'll get onto in a minute. They had a terrible tendency to do this. They would make a really good rule set, and then they would put in a race that broke the rule set, like Eldar and their solar seals.
I remember playing some Battlefleet Gothic, and we just did sort of like an intro game with the Space Marine Imperial stuff and the Orcs, and it seemed fine. And then my friend went, "Hey, you play Eldar. Do you want to do this?" And then my mind broke. So
yeah. Because for all intents and purposes, Gothic was Epic third. The Titan rules from Epic third was how the ship-to-ship combat worked. So if you played one, you could segue into the other really easily.
I always love it when companies or properties make ships that just look like massive guns, because that's all they need to be. They don't need to be sleek, because space.
This is why we love the A10 Warthog.
Aerodynamics don't matter.
Yeah.
That's why
we have a gun. What do we do with it? Build a plane around it.
It's always there. It's the thing that's always so cool about the stuff from Halo or from Aliens. They're just big, mighty ships that are just massive guns. It's amazing. Yeah.
Some of your renegade frigates. And they do have a really nice design system with the turrets and that sort of thing. So the little destroyers can be sort of upgunned in various ways.
Play around with different bits and pieces. It also means that they can have it so the guns poke out a little bit more, because they're having rather than having to sink them into it and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's cool.
Well, if I find, who am I after? I'm not after that. I will be after that. I feel like I'd be after that.
I thought it said the Human League. Then I was like,
well, you're not far off, because the Hellion League are not dissimilar to certain Spacmarans. That's very similar to the Cobra.
Oh,
yeah, they've got that big blade prow on the front.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see things like where are we? There we are.
Oh yeah.
So they do the weapon options as inserts, the same way that GW did it for the plastic kits. So with the judicious use of magnets, you've got flight decks, you've got broadsides, and you've got massive laser beams, depending on your choice. So, you say the fleets are really cute. There's some nice bits and pieces in there, and even if you're not playing Gothic with it, if you want to pick it up for A Billion Suns or Full Thrust or anything else like that, then I'm sure there's plenty of other games out there, Silent Death. Then there's a lot
Gothic
of
is one of those games that I feel like I missed out on.
Like I said, it was good fun until they put in, there's certain fleets that just break the game. Now, I've no doubt, like a lot of other things like Warmaster and like Epic, where the community jumped on board and went, we're not going to let this die, and have kept the rules up to date and tweaked. They've probably rebalanced them enough that they're playable without losing your mind.
Yeah, I think so.
So without murdering your opponent?
Nice. Yeah. They also do a range of ordnance, so mines, breaching pods.
Nice.
a whole range of torpedoes
Love
and bits and bobs like that, which are all really cute to have and handy for other things as well if you're doing scratch building.
I liked that I mean, I know this is something that happened on most sprues, but the tab that comes with some of the ships had the name of it on.
Yes.
So if you wanted to, you could clip that off and stick it onto something to be like, this is what this is.
If you heat it up till it gets rubbery, you could just slide a sharp blade right behind it and then just put it around the base.
Yeah.
It's the joy of resin.
Cool.
I will jump out of sequence for me, I know, into STLs.
Hey, way out of character.
Because they do a few different companies as licensed.
The Italian Moose. What a name.
Yeah. And they're very good in that regards. So these are the Vanguard ones that we've seen from Troublemaker's website last week, I think. And then there's Troublemakers themselves. So those will be semi-familiar.
Oh.
You too can have objective markers.
Eldar gates.
Yep, warp gates and power generators and other things to dress up as a little Eldari world. However, I think my favourite, and this one's going to be a good one for John, is the Blitz designs, because they've got a whole rake of
tiny
cities, including a ton of little 6 to 8 mil cactus.
Oh, that'll make you happy, Jerry.
Look at that. You can decorate your city with all the loveliness of cacti everywhere. But the hab blocks and stuff like this are just gorgeous.
Those are nice.
And they're not alone.
I like the different levels they've done to it as well. That's cool. Yeah.
Damn you, drop down, get out of my way. Look, there's a tiny fat man. And then
feels like a mega block.
Yeah.
Look, they're all boarded up in places. Don't go in there.
Really nice.
It all goes horribly wrong. But they've also got the landing ships.
Yeah, that
various crates, cargo containers, barrels, drunk workers. You know, a load of this smaller weird scatter that you wouldn't ordinarily see. Your little prefab units as well. There they are. There's my tech shanties. That's what we're here for. We'll start with the drunk workers then. Why are you on the ground, mate? Get up. There's work to do.
It was a really, really good night.
That's the drunk version of, was it Adam and God with the...
Yes. Reaching out to the spark of creation. More Mechanicus than Battletech, but but I mean, bar that one in the middle, all the rest are pretty much on point.
Just cut the one skull off.
There we go. He does have a thing. Look, there's more of the little tiny workers. Now, don't open those kegs until you've unloaded them all. You muppets.
That's fabulous.
So that's a nice little range, and there's another in here, which I think is epic.
Oh, I know the Gregsters stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so Gregsters does, that's a Squat Colossus for Epic fans, and that's a...
I want to see the City Killer, please.
You want to see the City Killer?
Yes.
Okay, then. We should see the City Killer.
I want to see the one with the bigger gun, too.
No, let's find me. I'm trying to remember what the bigger gun was called. It was Colossus, the Land Train, something else.
Ordinatus?
Might be that.
I'm thinking...
I think these are all squat-based.
Right.
So...
That's more like it.
Gustav's grandchild.
Crikey.
Times many. But yeah.
I have brought a gun to this standoff. There is no longer a standoff.
It's no longer a city, yeah.
There's no longer anything.
The city in that general direction has offended me. Please remove it.
If my gun misses, I have another gun and missiles.
I have a gun that fires my gun.
I'm carrying ICBMs on the back of my chassis. Okay, cool.
Oh, why? Because reasons.
I'm all for it.
And finally, the Italian Moose, going back to the BFG, doing Ancient Star Elves.
Those are nice.
Sails. Yeah.
They're very similar to they're a mix of the sort of more modern GW Eldar 4 Battlefleet Gothic, but also with a sort of a Silent Death look to it. The old Starship game, which was all very solar sail based and stuff. So
they are
I very much approve these designs.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So yes. So if you're into the old ship-to-ship combat, then they've got you sorted there. And then there is the 15, 3, and 6mm defeat and detail stuff. We'll start with the 6. It is, after all, what everything else is scaled for. So some of it are component parts. So there's like a battle bit section where you can get upgrades for actual plastic kits, but the majority are full on, either 3D printed or metal kits themselves, which are all very cutesy. I mean,
nice.
That's an interesting take.
Loving that.
Have a go if you think you're hard enough.
I love that it's got the missile pods quite raised, so it looks like it's going like it's like doing the chicken wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like one of the more obscure Macs from MacWarrior 3. The Mac called the Owens. It just looked like a cockpit that had big ears, but the ears were missile pods.
So it's a little Mickey Mouse?
Yeah. It could well be that. I mean,
those are nice. I like those.
When it comes to sci-fi walkers, everything is up for grabs.
If you wanted to do some human Eldar, that would work quite well. Or, sorry, human Tau.
Human Eldar? Yes. Get out.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, monkeys are smelly.
Well, you've even got the little crew compartment as well.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of weird little crew bits kicking around here and there.
Brilliant.
There's a Skinner. So obviously there, the 6mm plastics are humans and Skinners. And there's one of the big uns.
Oh, dumpy little dude.
Kicking around. Now, he's no longer alone.
Oh.
If I go to Troublemaker's bit here. So they kickstarted this at the start of the year, which is a game called City Crushers.
Nice.
And it went out to backers in October and it's now hit retail. But it is essentially that. It's giant stompy robots fighting each other in a city / arena. As the Kickstarter video said, which is worth going to watch, it's enough terrain in it to make an accurate representation of modern day London. But you do get, 110 quid. It's a big stumpy box of stuff. There's 6 of the bigger crushers, and then I think 16 of the smaller. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 16 of the smaller. But there's also an upgrade, that Skinner we seen a minute ago, the big one. There's like an upgrade kit that you use because these are all hard plastic. So you can then upgrade your Stumpy robot to be
that's very cool.
Bigger again. So particularly for orc epic players out there, being able to get your hands on 22 Gargants and 16 Gargants and 6 Mega Gargants in hard plastic is amazeballs. The bases also have the little discs, so you can count shield / wounds on them as well for the game.
Nice touch.
Which is really handy to have. So fascinating to see how that goes in the long run. I'd like to get hands on a copy myself and have a swizz around with it. Just for novelty value. But you can also pick up the capital crushers are the big ones, and then the city crushers are the little bitty ones. But you're looking 22 quid for what's in there.
Looks like 8.
I don't know if it's the full 8. It is fully 8 for 20 bucks.
That's not bad.
Can't be bad for it.
No.
They're very cute.
Yeah, I'm for a range of hard plastic orky things. Footed or tracked. That's a bargain by Grabthar's hammer.
Yeah.
See, I kind of want to get an orc mech boy and just put a remote control in his hand and just like a swarm of these. Just him RCing like remote bomb gargants that are tiny.
That would be super cool. I love the idea of that.
That would be a cool. I don't have squigs, but I have these.
Yeah.
Why'd you not have squigs? You should always have squigs.
The boss ate all the squigs.
Yeah.
So here
we have RC.
So here are more of the 6mm Skinners then. So you two can field your full epic armies if you want.
Those are really well detailed as well.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That makes me smile just looking at it.
It's a thing of epic beauty.
It really is.
Tiny epic beauty.
Yeah.
Leaders in heavy armor.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Your knobs.
Mega armor knobs.
Yeah. Chunky boys.
Not too long ago, in the distant future, I was doing a crossword, and one of the answers was actually knobs with a Z, because someone had clearly read some Games Workshop Warhammer fiction at some point and decided. Yeah. And I was like, wow. That's the first time that's appeared in The Guardian.
It's peculiar.
Yeah.
How did that one get past the editor?
Exactly. Yeah. These are really good.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be playing Epic, or if you're going to, as I imagine a lot of people are going to do, start working out Xenos forces for Legions Imperialis.
Actually make it epic and stop hawking Horus Heresy at us for 6 months.
Nobody cares about Space Marines. We certainly don't want to see Space Marines fighting Space Marines.
Again.
Mm-hmm. Give us unusual things. Give us squat land trains.
I want Phantom Titans
mobs
leaping across the battlefield, cutting Warhounds in half. That's what I want. Yes.
I want to build the Hive of Necromunda and just have a force assaulting it.
That would be cool. Yeah.
These are a bit of the, what do you call it, Mechanicus? Is that sort of thing? Mechanicus
yeah. Nice.
So you two can have a human tech force. But again, I mean, if you're playing something like Epic, it slots straight in there. And if you're playing other things, there's a lot of weird cybernetic humans. These aren't so over the top in 6 mil that they are starkly set into
they're not festooned in skulls.
Yeah.
Oh no, they might be. They're just very teeny tiny.
Yes. They're all on the inside. I like those.
Yeah. So 6 mil has all of those. If we go 15, only has a few little pieces in there at the moment.
Ooh.
But they do have some nids. Or endomorphs running around the place going bork, bork, bork. Some nice noise they make. Nobody can tell me I'm wrong. So, but they can, but I just won't listen. Or they
many stabbings.
So your 15 mil Spaccamarans.
Marinios.
Multi-part 15s.
Wow.
That's horrifying.
That's just your command squad.
That's intimidating.
You're
I mean, fine, you can have them the way you want, but dear God, you're going to go blind trying to glue that together.
Look, John.
Oh no.
15 mil Death Corps.
Oh, that's
temptation.
Nearly had to swear there.
Say nothing.
Amazingly adorable is what I'm going to say.
I love the Commissar. There's my favorite so far.
No, I don't care about the Commissar. I just want my happy gas mask boys.
But none of them have a shovel.
They probably all have shovels.
Probably.
We could go back and double check.
Stop criticizing other people's work, Justin. If you can't do it,
I loved
yourself.
Hush.
Shovels.
And in case you want to, you can also run them in 3 mil, which allows you to have really big tanks and stuff. Look at the tiny little Sentinels, which are probably the same size as the 6 mil stuff.
We like you.
Very cool.
Oh, you could actually field entire regiments. That'd make me so happy. Oh, you should be showing me this stuff.
Look, Hurricane ground fighters, platoons of tanks. There's a siege regiment company for 9 quid.
£9. Wow.
3 mil, fill your boots.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You could do tiny 40k multi-based.
Massive engagements.
I don't want us to do ACW anymore.
Yep.
Jerry will murder you.
You surprised me. Not at all, John. But I was so glad because I didn't think you were going to be on the show this week. And I was like, oh, this is a shame because you really enjoy this. So imagine my surprise whenever you appeared. It was delightful.
I didn't hurt Shay I didn't read the running order and apply a sledgehammer to Shay's ankle.
And we're all very happy that you didn't.
Yeah.
The Titanicus and Nautica compatible bits are mostly terrain with some of the other 6mm things we've already seen, including your
Phantom
walkers.
Yeah. And then all your ancillary terrain bits.
Yep. And like I say, if you are a fan of the GW Titans, there are these upgrades, including he's out of stock, unfortunately, which is a terrible shame, but hopefully it won't be long before they come in, so you can get some
nice,
interesting little detaily upgradey bits. You two can have a Warhound looking like God intended with lovely yellow and black.
And it won't break your bank balance either. So.
Well, some of them are add-ons to kits rather than full kits themselves, so you still need to pick up the GW kit and then upgrade. But I imagine there's probably other people out there who do similar kit appropriate things then that you can then
similar
bash
body
together.
bits.
Yeah. And hammer them all away. But there we go. So that's
like
Vanguard.
It. Love it.
Yeah.
Want more of it?
I'm great, mate.
I need to find a rule set now.
I have
you have a rule set.
One moment.
We'll talk about this later on, Joe.
Right, that'll do.
Right, that's the India of the week. We're going to take a quick swish and come back for the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, it's time for the news, and we're going to be kicking things off in a galaxy far, far away. Someone fetch me a roll-up newspaper and some spray.
You're a poet and you didn't know it. So yes, Atomic Mass Games have previewed a couple of new sets that are going to be dropping at the start of 2024. It's weird that that's so close, but there we go. So yes, this is a new range of miniatures for use in Star Wars Legion, and this time it's going to be the Geonosians. So they're going to be buzzing in to have some fun, as Jerry said, prepare the raid. So these break down into two different box sets. You can get the first one, which is the Commander and Operative expansion, which comes with Sun Fac and Poggle the Lesser, who are your two character options. So there's Poggle the Lesser himself, looking particularly regal with his little stick. And then you have Sun Fac, who's ready to defend him at all costs until you break out the Bug Zapper. But yeah.
You mean the other way? Do you mean the other way around?
Yeah, he does.
So Sun Fac's
the first one was Sun Fac, yeah.
Is he? What?
Yeah, we're literally reading the tabs.
No, they're wrong. They're wrong.
Oh,
I got that wrong.
Okay, different.
That's the way that I said it is the right way around.
Right.
Thankfully. Unless someone in Star Wars fandom, whatever, corrects me. I don't care. Either way, you
just waiting for comment of, well, actually,
yeah, you get Sun Fac and Poggle the Lesser in the set. There you go. But yes, they come with all the cards that you'd expect you'd need to play them in the game, and they can be slotted in alongside the Separatists on the tabletop. So if you're going to be using those to supplement your droids, why not have some flying options?
Where are my droidicas?
Yeah. And then you also get to play around with some Geonosian warriors as well. So this is a set of 7 miniatures where you get the warrior leader. Then you get one of the fellows carrying a sonic blaster. Another one's carrying a sonic cannon. And there's also a force pike in there as well. So you've got your weapon upgrades for your squad to use on the tabletop as well. Again, a nice little sort of addition to the range. It's not something that I think a lot of people thought was going to be coming, but it's good to see it, I suppose, especially if you're diving into that sort of Clone Wars era and that sort of initial fight.
Well, that's it, yeah. It's not like after the Clone Wars sort of started that the Geonosians gave up the ghost and stopped.
Oh, yeah.
They were still part of the separatist movement. And you imagine they were running around the place with Watt and friends being terrible, being just swatted, just a lot of clone. You know, those creeper vehicles that the clone troopers had.
Yeah,
just have a big fly swat on one, catapult arm that just slaps them out of the air.
I still want my Gungans.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things I wanted to raise. Actually, we've got to the point where we're seeing the Geonosian warriors that appear for all of 20 minutes. 10 minutes, yeah, in Clone Wars. But what about the Gungans that pay a huge amount of airtime?
I have to assume they fought the one battle and went, work's done. We're going home. Goodbye. Have fun, everybody.
But the Geonosians, you got warriors and you got some of the characters, and then I guess you've got the arena beasts that they could bring out as part of something potentially in the future.
Backlayer, Nexu, and stuff like that. Yeah.
But then the Gungans have an entire literal army.
Episode 1
has been designed.
Episode 1 showed us the Gungan army, and it was pretty cool looking.
Those things with the orb throwers on their back, the big walking creatures and everything, the shield warriors and all that kind of things. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they're doing it for political reasons because Zsa Zsa was the one that gave executive emergency power to guess who.
His biggest oops.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
The Empire.
Maybe we'll see. But you got. I mean, I know Boss Nass didn't fight anybody, but you got Boss Nass, and you've got the other Gungan leader that's friends with Jar Jar and all that kind of thing.
The general.
Well. Yeah, the general. Yeah. So there's loads of things you can do for the Gungans. I know that Eons of Battle has built a Gungan army using 3D prints and stuff, and it looks really good.
We showed it off ages ago.
Captain Tapos.
Oh,
was the friend of Zsa Zsa.
There we go. Awesome.
Because I watched episode 1 yesterday.
If John remembers, that means actual Star Wars fans are going to remember as well. So,
Captain Tapos.
If you want to laugh, Steve Hilju, Death by Dragons on the YouTubes, big Kings of War player. He organised the Clash of Kings this year, and I think he's organised next year as well. He did a Gungan army to use as stand-ins for, I can't remember what. It may have been goblins, and it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing. It included a Darth Jar Jar. The whole, he's a Sith Lord, so he was a wizard running around the place lightning bolting things. It's great.
Love it, yeah.
Anyway, so yes, Legion, get them before the fire sale, or just hang on for the fire sale. Either way. Get your bugs anytime soon.
Have faith, Jerry. Have faith.
I have.
Jerry just wants to pick that carcass.
The world is a disappointing, bitter place with no faith left to be had. Right. Let's have a look at something for Retro Raygun now. This will bring a smile to my face.
So Retro Raygun is a game by the folks at Hydra Miniatures, which is, as the name suggests, a great retro Raygun pulp-inspired skirmish game for you to play on the tabletop. And what's really fun is that Khurasan Miniatures, who we've looked at in the past as well, have started creating some miniatures to use in that game, and they're all applicable to the rest of the range. They all match in terms of scale as well, which is around 30mm for these. So this is their new faction that they've designed to sit alongside what already exists from Hydra, which is called the Neptonians. So these are your cannibal lizards from space, dressed in shoddy outfits that have been made hastily by the
man in rubber suit.
Yes. So you've got options like the Ultra Fiend that you see there with that massive bony crown and that awesome ray gun.
And rated his armor from Ben-Hur.
Yes. And then there's this, which I think is amazing. The Great Struglock is just this massive badass beast with a huge hammer. Clearly, this is what all the budget was spent on as part of the film crew.
Sing along with me.
Exactly. Yes.
This is the Shatner fight.
Yes. Yep. Get your hands ready for that epic Kirk punch. But yeah. So yes, they've done a whole range of these for you to dive into and have fun with. There's loads of the sort of individual cannibals. There's the different characters and the big monsters as well, which I think is really nice. They've even done an army list for these as well. So currently, obviously, one doesn't exist within the Retro Raygun rules themselves. And so Khurasan have worked with them to create a set of rules so you can easily slot these carnivores into your games. And it's worth having a look at Retro Raygun itself, because, a lot of people love 7TV and all that kind of thing as well, but Retro Raygun's probably one that maybe has slipped under some radars, so maybe go and check that out. I mean, the miniature range is great, so
that's nice that they have the retro range there, and then the Neptunians, so you can see how they scale with the others as well. Another good thing about the Retro Raygun system, obviously it's a 30mm skirmish for playing out your pulp classic sci-fi. But they also have the same races in a starship combat game as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've just been looking at a load of 6mm Battlefield Gothic-esque things. Just imagine a load of those coming up against classic 1950s rocket ships.
Yes.
Just fighting them. Look at you and your terrible solar seals, Eldar. Time to get rocketed off this board.
Yes, this is how you build a spaceship. Little flying saucer goes past.
I believe there is little flying saucers as well.
Amazing.
The game's War Rocket. So the Galacteers and the Imperials and all those. So all the races that you can play in the skirmish game, you can also have them jetting around the place in their rocket ships. Being Ronnie Rocket Pants.
I'll put a link in the show notes to the Hydra store as well, so you can go and have a look at the two different ranges together and see what you think of them. But I think Khurasan have said that they're going to continue to do more for this as well and expand it in a few ways. Nice. So I'm sure if they come up with new alien ideas and things, they'll be able to slot in. But even if you're not playing Retro Raygun, great for 7TV and games like that as well. So make sure to have a pop at that, I think. Yeah.
I like it a lot. I like the fact also that Khurasan, because they typically do small scale.
Yes.
They do an awful lot of sort of 10, 15 mil stuff, a lot of historics, and then just completely blindsiding you. So I have a sneaking suspicion that somebody at Khurasan plays Retro Raygun when I
like this, so I will make more.
Yeah. So good to see more of that all the time. Right. Next up. We're going to the Peninsular.
We are,
I imagine something that Ben's put in specifically because Ben wants to play the Peninsular War in 28 mil.
Maybe.
Is this why this is in here, Ben?
Evil man.
It is. It is definitely why this is in here. I've not been talking about it for the last couple of weeks on Cult of Games.
No.
But yeah, so this is the fairly recently released set from Warlord Games that is now available, interestingly, as individual miniatures as well over on their web store. So this is their Napoleonic Peninsular veteran sets that they've done. So they were talking to John about this over on the Warlord YouTube channel, actually. And one of the things that they wanted to do with this set is that there's loads and loads of Napoleonics you can buy out there where all the soldiers look like they've just stepped out of the parade ground and all that kind of thing.
Why is one of them wearing a bonnet?
Well, I'll get to that. So this is where they have basically dived in and been like, this is what these soldiers would have looked like if they'd been fighting for months in the Peninsular Wars and just having to cobble together whatever they could in order to keep fighting. Like, for example, why is someone wearing a bonnet? Because they've been asked to put a hat on for parade, and the only thing they can find is a bonnet that they found, on the battlefield or something like that. Why is that guy wearing a butcher's bib? It's the only thing he can find to cover up the rips in his trousers. This is the kind of stuff that they wanted to put together because, the Peninsular War was a pretty bitter fight. And so it's really nice to see some of these kind of veterans put sort of assembled for use in Napoleonic
your
games.
commander isn't even wearing a shirt. That's his belly hanging out there.
Exactly, yes. And he's riding
he's on a donkey.
with a little parasol.
Yes, yeah, because there's a rule against umbrellas, but not against parasols.
The guy in the judge's wig.
Yes,
just noticed on the left. Yeah.
There's even for people who have there you go. So if people who've watched Sharp, who watch Waterloo and things like that, there's a chap carrying a pig around, which people who've watched
one
Waterloo
of the Irish.
know what that is. Yeah. And then there's the chap looking into his hat. So I think some people might know Mr. Hexworld, perhaps.
Yep. Played by Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah.
In the TV series. Can't kill me, Sharpie.
And the actual sort of theming behind this is that it's one of the sort of collected detachments. So when a unit or whatever, or a regiment was sort of taken down to like 2 or 3 men or whatever, they would all be assembled together into something like this so they could continue fighting under a new commander and that kind of thing. And so that's where they've gone with the British. For the French side of things, because of course you need to have the French as well. That set is the Over the Hills and Far Away. Who would have thought that? Well, and this one is the Vive l'Empereur set.
Oh wow, they look even rougher.
Exactly, and there's a meaning behind that as well. So this is the French. They're called Les Butchers or the Butchers, and the idea is that they are under a commander who his entire force was captured by the Spanish and put into a prison hulk, and they finally fought their way free of the prison hulk, and they're now out to raid and rob across the Spanish peninsula and do all sorts of terrible things, of course, because they're French. Yeah,
and they stole Fifi Le Poodle.
Exactly, yes. So both the sets have a dog, as you will have seen, so you can have a proper clash between the commanders, their units, and their dogs at the same time. I cannot wait to see the scenarios.
They're fighting over a single sausage for dinner.
Yes. So yeah, you've got 2 great sets there that are full of really characterful miniatures. They're done in Warlord resin, I believe. But they're sort of new version of that, which they've been using for a lot of their different sets recently. And as I said,
I I love this guy on the left. It's just like, I have 2 rifles. Why? Because I need 2 rifles.
Exactly, yeah. And if all fails, that's 2 clubs you've got. So, yeah. But these can be picked up as the sets that you see here, or you can buy each of the individual soldiers if you want to. And they've all got names, like in the old classic days from Games Workshop. So you can actually go through and be like, I want X, Y, Z, whatever, and add them into your force. So if you want to just throw in, a Hexworld, you can just go and get him and have him in your games, which is very cool.
I imagine there'll be a fair amount of these rocking in for Silver Bayonet.
Oh, yes, very much so. The other thing a lot of people have pointed out is that if this does well, maybe we'll see some of these for some of the other factions that were fighting during the time as well. So it'd be good to see the Prussians and the Russians and everything else as well.
Well, the Spanish and Portuguese in particular.
And the Spanish and Portuguese, yeah.
In the Peninsula, where you have really ragtag guerrilla fighters, and it'd be interesting to see what they do with those, because they're 2 nations that it's very easy to do British, do French, or Russian, Austrian, whatever, as plastics, because you've got a lot of repetition. You're never really going to see them in that way. But having groups of rough old veterans with the arse hanging out of the trousers would be spot on for some of those fighters. So
very much so.
Nice to see those. Now, a modern twist with Spectre Operations.
Yeah. So Spectre Miniatures recently released the new edition of their game Spectre Operations, which is a sort of modern warfare style take on tabletop combat. So if you're diving into playing something with Soap McTavish and all that kind of good stuff, you can go down the Hollywood route, or you can go down the meticulously detailed and researched modern warfare tactics side of things and play out war games with elite special forces and all that kind of stuff.
Or just don't. Or just don't.
Or just don't. Yeah.
Because that's silly.
I'm sorry, these boys look way too professional.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's because they are the best of the best. So, yes, this is a couple of new sets that they've brought out for use in sort of modern warfare style games. You've got 3 sort of task force elements that you can pick up already. So you've got the assault element, you've got the CQB element, which is your close quarters battle element, and then you've got the force fire support as well. So you've got some options for sort of ranged combat, you've got up close and personal, and then you've got your sort of, I say bog standard, but they're not necessarily bog standard, troops for sending into all sorts of different war zones and stuff on the tabletop. These are a mix of both resin miniatures, sort of traditional resin miniatures, and also 3D printed resin ones, especially for some of the characters that they've done. There's even specialists that they've worked on. So there's a JTAC, so you've got your sort of radio operator and stuff. And you've got a breacher. So if you want someone who's actually qualified to, smash down doors and all that kind of stuff, you've got one of those. And there's also a commander and a hero option in there as well. And these are particularly great if you're actually going to be playing Spectre Operations and diving into the new edition for maybe the first time, because this kind of gives you all of the operators you need for playing out those modern conflicts. Like straight away, you just need to pick up some bad guys. Not bad guys.
One's an amputee.
Yeah. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
What was that one?
Is that the guy here?
This guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's cool. I didn't realize that. It's awesome. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's so cool. I love that.
He's rocking a blade.
He is, yeah. But
so to bounce over walls easier.
I know a lot of people will be like, maybe I don't necessarily want to play this period. I could play World War II. That's as far as I'll go, kind of thing. And I totally understand that. That's fantastic. But for those people who maybe want to who have played Call of Duty or other games of that ilk,
have been horribly disenfranchised by Modern Warfare 3.
Yes.
That they need to play something to cleanse their palate because they're like right down on the depression scale right now.
So if you want something to make yourself feel happy, maybe pick up this stuff and have a go at it. It's a really interesting game in that it's driven by the knowledge of Modern Warfare as it stands, not the game, the knowledge of Modern Warfare, but also sort of will allow you to play that kind of Hollywood style thing if you want to, which I think is the way that you should kind of approach this stuff anyway. The other thing that's really nice about this game is that it's obviously great for 2 players to play, but it's also one of those games that would really benefit from having a games master, and it's one of the things they really push as part of the rule system as well. So having someone who can spring surprises on you and all that kind of stuff. So you've got the 2 people playing either side of that's fighting over an objective or a particular VIP or something, and then you can have booby traps and all sorts of different things that you can throw into the mix with the GM.
You find an IED.
Exactly.
I think we should send a copy of this to Bricky to make him feel a bit better.
Yes.
Bricky played Modern Warfare 3 and
Didn't go well.
poor guy. But hey.
So yes, this is the kind of thing that could maybe make you feel a little bit happier. And if you wanted to go down a different route and just have people fighting the zombies, you can do that as well. Another nice thing to look at from the Spectre Operations miniatures range is that they don't just do this kind of like high-end military tactic stuff. They also do criminals and cops and robbers and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to do bank robberies, you want to do all sorts of things like that. Yeah, you can do heat, exactly. And they do loads of fun stuff as well. So they've done like a Baba Yaga miniature. So if you want to go down that route as well with John Wick, you can have fun with that.
More ideas for Dungeonalia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You could do the
John
old
Wick way through a Russian nightclub.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one I'm remembering is an old Die Hard game on the GameCube, which I'm just rolling in to do the Tower Assault.
You could try that as well. It would be easily done. So yeah, make sure you dive in and have a look at this stuff. But anyway, nice new sets there. Definitely go and check it out, and check out the new edition as well, because they've worked very hard on it, and it's worth checking out. So yeah,
very fancy.
Yes.
Now, speaking of fancy, the new Black Templars masquerading as Dark Angels.
Yes, I already know Jerry's thoughts on this.
Please me.
Might not.
Yeah. So I read your Facebook comment. So yes, Games Workshop last weekend did another preview, looking at some more stuff for Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar and the Ilk. We'll look at some 40k stuff first. So the Dark Angels have got their codex listed for sort of middle of next year, and they're going to be coming in with a new sort of supplement codex alongside a whole host of new miniatures. One of those is the new version of Asmodai there. So if you're looking for an interrogator to hunt down the rest of the Fallen, you've got a new option there.
I swear it was a traitor.
Scream repent at people.
Yeah. Based on one of the old pieces of artwork as well for Asmodai.
Yeah,
I think it's really
black and
nice.
white one by I think Mark Gibbons or maybe Dave Galler. Can't remember. Which.
So very nice. Something about it feels a little off to me. I don't know if it's just the smoke, maybe, but I like that it's based on some old artwork and stuff. I think it's a nice little touch. He comes with a couple of different options as well, so you can play around with the head and have it with hood up or down. I think hood up is the best way to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely agreed. The hood down looks awful.
Yeah, it looks a bit weird. But otherwise, nice to see a new character coming up for the Dark Angels there to help supplement them. Obviously, they had their big boy, the Lion, out fairly recently as well. So they're on the up and up, as it were. I'm sure his job gets decidedly harder as well.
Well, I mean, the little torture implement hanging off his back is very interesting looking.
Yes.
Looks like you don't need to put the smoke on. You see the way the backpack has the smoke,
so you can
and
take
the
others.
others. Yeah.
That's fair. Go
personally, I would do it without.
Yeah,
I quite like the sensor look of that.
I think it's cool. I'm not sure whether or not I like it for a battlefield.
Well,
bubble.
that's it. Yeah, the fact that if it's sitting on a shelf, it looks nice.
Yeah.
If he's moving around, it looks a bit static.
Yeah, but very cool.
They've not cleaned the mold line off on that. Why
no,
do they
have
not
not
clean the mold lines off?
Because people are lazy. Also, look at the other one. Look how heavy.
What's that?
That's not a mold line.
What is that?
Because I'll put money on this being the 3D printed prototype.
Oh,
and that's an actual silver line they've drawn to make it look like an angular piece of steel.
But look at the front. It looks like it's actually a ridge from the front view.
Who knows, mold line or not. But yeah, as I say, surely his job gets harder now because the Lion's like, we should just forgive them, and he's like, no, punish them.
Well, no, because the Lion's like, I don't trust my sons. You go do what you want. We're going to do what we want.
Right, enough of that.
Going,
yeah,
huh?
That's the new Black Templars.
Yes, yeah. So this is the other kit that they announced, which is the new Deathwing Knights. This is what's quite interesting about this is that a lot of people thought these were going to be add-on kits to the existing Terminator stuff they've been working on. So the assault Terminators and things like that. But this is meant to be just a unique set that they're going to be releasing. And yes, as people have said, not quite as Deathwingy as people would have hoped, I guess. But I still think they look cool, just maybe not in the same vein as people were imagining when it came to the original styles of the Deathwing Knights and stuff.
I will say it's good to see them, like, because remember when 10th was coming out and we were all talking about the Terminator kits, it's like now they're going to have to do a rescaled version of every specialized Terminator. if this is the way they're going with the Dark Angels ones, I really would be interested to see how the Space Wolf ones turn out.
Oh my god,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, the Wolf Guard will look really good.
And the Grey Knights, because please, Grey Knights.
Yeah.
Something.
I really need some nice new Wolf Guard because I don't want to buy the old ones.
Yeah.
It'll be coming at some point during 10th edition, probably near the end.
This is going to be the addition of Terminator armor everywhere, even if the stats aren't great.
But the set comes with options for you to have swords and shields, or you can have the maces, as you can see.
I like the power mauls.
Yeah, very nice.
They look really good.
And the hoods inside, I think that's the best way to go with those as well. Love hoods on anything. And then you even get a little Watcher in the Dark as well to throw into the set. So you use them as a objective marker or something like that as well. There's also like a teleport homer in the
teleport homer.
Yeah, so you can use it.
Send out the midget in the cloak.
Throw him off the ship first.
Still no look at the actual Terminator assault Terminator kit though. But maybe we'll see that.
Do they even have a stat card?
They have index. They have an index entry, but they don't have a. What do you mean the Deathwing Knights or the?
No. The assault Terminators.
The assault Terminators have an index card, so there is definitively a stat line for them. There's just it's got the old model on the image.
Yeah.
I mean that's not a million miles away from your Thunderhammer Storm Shield anyway.
Exactly.
So it's just going to be what they do for the lightning claws. I don't know. Oh, he's got feathers. Holy shitballs! One of them has.
There. A few of the models Jerry can approve of.
Because this is the thing, that the whole point of the Deathwing, the reason they're not in black armor like the rest of the Dark Angels was because of that group who then, because they had that tribal idea that you painted yourself in a bone color when you knew you were going to die and all the rest of it. And then they did that as a tribute. And the fact that they've sanitized all the feathers and tribal markings and stuff off the models makes them a bit less interested. They're a bit more standard Terminator and less Deathwing to me. If you painted these, and like I said, if you painted these as Templars, I would go, yeah, they're nice looking Templars. I wouldn't have looked at them and went, there's anything specifically Dark Angel on those sculpts, really.
Go with the swords and swap the shields around, and I think they would.
Well, I mean, you've got a lot of iconography to get rid of, but it's doable.
You don't have that much iconography to get rid of in the grand scheme of things. You know, compared to how much there should be on it. You know,
it does.
I like to see my Weasel Fierce and all the rest of them, you know.
It does depend on if the shoulder guards and stuff are separate parts to the arms. You know, you can delete some of that pretty easily.
Yeah. Replace them with 3D printed options or something like that.
Black Templars wear tabards as well, so you can just green stuff over the chests and stuff like that too.
And off you pop. Away you go. Yep. Anyway.
But so we got to look at some stuff for the Dark Angels, but there was also a little bit of a sneaky peek at what's coming up for the
I like these a lot.
Wars. Yeah,
I really like seeing these coming out.
So Night Lords have been sort of teased or at least hinted at for a little while now. They're going to be dropping in as, I'd assume, one of the kill teams in a new box set that will be rolling around next year. This is the set that will be the upgrade kit in the box, I would guess. So there'll be one that's much more unique. But this one takes the basic Chaos Space Marine sprue and then adds on a whole bunch of Night Lords specific elements. So things like the claws and that terrifying standard and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
the big
plus half a Space Marine.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently that works as sort of like a sort of goading device. So they've rigged it up so it sounds like your allies. And then they think it's one of the Battle Brothers that they've got nearby, and then you just stab them when they come up close. Lovely.
They puppet him from behind the rock.
Yes, exactly.
Told about, I'm over
so you
here,
hear
brothers.
Brother, get the flamer, the heavy flamer.
I like how Bucky Barnes is in there as well.
He is, yeah.
Bucky had a bad day.
Yeah, the 40k Winter Soldier. Yeah. But it's a really nice little set of upgrades. I love all the flayed flesh, the daggers, the hoods, the skull masks, the wings.
They've sort of, on the painting, they've sort of played down on the lightning effect on the armor.
Yeah,
I mean, there's little bits on the knee pads.
Yeah,
it's here there, but they haven't completely covered every.
Yeah, like the old ones where it was like everything was lightning effect.
Yeah. But then I suppose it's because they've added more detail to things like the shoulder pads and stuff, so it's less room for the lightning elements, I suppose. But
we'll see what Siege Studios does with them.
Yeah, if you're one of those people who, for some reason, likes painting all the trim on Chaos Space Marines, well, you've now got even more detail to paint. There we go.
Everybody's got to have a hobby.
Yeah.
I like the ribcage sword.
Yes, it is totally over the top and totally Warhammer 40,000.
Completely necessary, I swear.
Yeah.
Proper Night Lords.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, they've really captured the aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be picking these up and literally just using them as Night Lord squads on the tabletop.
They're going to sell like the Kasserkins did when they came out, as in you'll not be able to get them for 4 months.
Exactly. Yeah. Capping everything off as well, we also got a little bit of a roadmap as to what's coming up for Warhammer 40,000 in the next couple of months, the rest of, the first half of 2024 anyway.
Yep.
So obviously everybody knows that Adeptus Mechanicus and Necrons are going to be landing very soon. Codex pre-orders go up tomorrow, I believe. And then that's going to be another 2-week one. And then as we move into the spring of next year, we're going to get the Dark Angels, as we saw, alongside the Orcs.
Yay.
The Adeptus Custodes are stepping in, so the big golden boys with their big golden balls. Then you've got the Tau Empire and the Chaos Space Marines rocking up as well. So an interesting mix of Chaos, Xenos, and Imperial stuff, which is nice to see. And then Gene Stealer Cults and Adeptus Sororitas in the summer of next year, which I'm sure all my friends are very happy about because all of their factions are getting their codexes. I'm not.
I feel Battle Sisters have been getting more codexes than anybody.
I think so, yeah.
Because
they have to catch up. They're the youngest faction.
The range refresh wasn't that long ago, was it? It was 2020.
Not really. Yeah,
They've basically had a codex every year since then.
Pretty much.
To make up for the fact they only had 2 in the previous 7 editions.
Yes.
Yeah, well, there is that.
And then, as you can see, there's a redacted entry
That's
that was
yours.
added in. Yeah.
That's Asmar.
That's Grey Knights. I bet that's Grey Knights.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's Space Marines.
It's Grey Knights.
As Valrak pointed out in one of his videos, last time they did this, it had a Auto Xenos thing in the back of it, and it was a Xenos codex. So this one's got the Imperial Eagle, so it's probably an Imperial faction. A lot of people have been saying Grey Knights, especially if they're doing this Terminator rework thing, as you say, John. So
I think new Paladins would be absolutely amazing.
Oh man, that'd be good. They could redo the Dread Knight.
No, they won't. But
maybe carry it forever.
I know they'll probably try and squeeze it into the lore if it is going to be Grey Knights that they have been able to Primarisify them or something, or maybe they'll just say, actually, guys, never mind about Primaris here. They're just reskilled.
Like they did with the Terminators. Here are just some new ones.
Yeah, just reskill it. Don't worry about it.
Surely Belisarius calls looking at the Grey Knights going, I didn't get to work on you. I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't. Grey Knights are better than anything Call has done or anything Games Workshop has ruined.
But yeah, lots of interesting stuff, whichever way you look at it, for Warhammer 40,000 in the next little while. On the other side of things, in the Mortal Realms, we also got to look at a whole bunch of stuff for the Flesh Eater Courts. Now, the Flesh Eater Courts have always been one of these factions where I've been like,
Marmite.
Yeah. Can't you just be normal death?
I mean, I'm digging this guy.
But yes, this is the thing that has changed my mind. Usharan, the Mortarch of Delusion, is possibly one of the coolest models I've seen for Age of Sigmar in a very, very long time. I think the last model like this that I really loved was Radakar the Beast. The Radakar the Wolf, which was the big badass werewolf version of him that they did for the sort of the Soulblight Gravelords. But I think Usharan looks amazing. Clearly, somebody has been playing Elden Ring to use this as some kind of reference. But I think this guy looks amazing. And in a similar vein to a lot of stuff for the Flesh Eater Courts, he's somebody who believes himself to be a paladin of virtue that was sort of succumbed to a curse, a little bit like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and was locked away in a cage somewhere and has now been unleashed on the battlefield once more to ply his delusions alongside his fellow warriors. But
I will save you from life.
Exactly. He's been given this really awesome sort of bone crown, as you can see, and Nagash has sort of put that like jewel in the center of his head as well to sort of, I assume, try and keep him on task. I don't think that works very well potentially, but
general direction, go.
Yeah,
got it.
But I think he looks super cool. And
it
it's
looks
really
like
nice.
somebody is trapped inside his fur there.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, whenever you have a beard, it's called a flavor saver. So that's his flavor saver.
Specifically that one there, because the hand comes out from below as well.
Yeah. So it's some really nice little bits and pieces thrown into this one to bring it to life. But this isn't everything that the Flesh Eater Courts are getting, because they're getting a whole host of other stuff. So the next book in the sort of narrative at the moment for Dawnbringers is coming out, and that's The Mad King Rises. which is attached to Khurasan and sort of will come with the rules for him, as we've been seeing with the last couple of books for the various characters for the Stormcast and things like that. But there's also going to be a new army set, which will come with a whole host of new characters. So you've got things we have seen a few of these already. So we saw like a jailer with big wings and set keys, and we saw a judge that made its wig out of a set of intestines and guts and things, which I thought was quite funny.
Yep.
There's also the aberrant cardinal. So you've got your sort of priest as well.
Vampire Pope.
Vampire Pope. Don't check up his skirt; he will have your head off. But yeah, very nice. And then there's also a whole host of what are you looking at, Jerry? Are you trying to see what's up his skirt?
No, it looks like you can see right through.
Oh yes, they've got. Yeah, I think they've done like a negative space thing in the middle of it as well, which is really cool. Yeah, very nice.
Unfortunately,
you can actually check up.
You can check up a skirt. So yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, they're like, "Why are you talking about checking up a Pope skirt?" But there we go. There's also the Vargulf Courtier. So if you're looking for a lovely lord or lady to throw into your games, this is what they look like. This is what happened to the Bretonians, people. But yes, a very cool new sort of bat-style creature for you to throw into the mix and add alongside your rest of your Vargulfs and stuff on the tabletop. Nice. And then, as I say, there's going to be this new army set that's coming out. So it's sort of like one of their launch boxes they do for the factions. So if you wanted to dive in and start afresh with them, you've got this way to do so. There's that fellow with the keys that I'm sure will make a lot of people who liked Mortime very happy, because I always loved the idea of Strigoi and doing that in Mortime with some very cool models and stuff. Oh, lovely. But yes, a bunch of new line troopers for them. So you've got the Crypt Guard. So these are your sort of men-at-arms, your knights that you would find in your glorious army, were they not cannibals and flesh eaters. And they're actually armed with swords. So yeah, you've got swords, and you've also got a halberd option for them as well, if you wanted to go down that route. But a nice little set there. And there's also the Morgheb Knights. So these are your Knights of the Realm, charging forward into battle on the backs of terrible beasties, one of which is still feasting on somebody's arm, as you'd imagine. But yeah,
I mean,
hate it when I get stuff
stuck
in my teeth. Yeah. So that's essentially peg calved there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
The one in the middle is doing a Cubone.
Yes.
Wearing its mother's skull.
Yeah.
Worse than that, he's left-handed.
He's a Roman.
Yeah. So you got some nice options there for new troops to throw in alongside the Flesh Eater Courts. It's nice that they've been sort of expanded on as a collection, and I like that they've really run with the theme of them being these delusional knights that think they're one thing and in fact are just absolute horrors. I think it's a fun way to play things, and it kind of brings them in line with other factions like Gloomspike Gits and that kind of stuff, and Skaven in Age of Sigmar and Warhammer in general, where you're like, you can have some fun with this faction and really go to town with things like effects like blood and that kind of stuff on the Force, which I think is a really nice way to go. But yeah, nice stuff there for the Flesh Eater Courts.
Fancy.
Capping things off, there was also another little preview for a skirmish game. So we had Kill Team preview in 40k side of things, and for Warhammer Underworld Death Gorge, there was a new warband that was announced, which is Dagok Stab Lads. As you'd imagine by the name, they like stabbing things.
These are very skinny orcs.
Yeah. The horn is the best feature of that set. Yeah, that looks really cool. I like that.
It's a super cool horn, especially molding on the fact that the guy is blowing the horn as well. I think that's a really nice little touch. But yeah, if you're looking for a sneaky backstabbing set of orcs to throw into your games, you've got some new options here for Warhammer Underworlds, looking very nice. Not a massive departure from stuff we've seen already for Warhammer Underworlds. I prefer it when they do the really unique stuff where they throw in loads of fascinating new things from like side factions and stuff. But I'm sure if you're a Cruel Boys fan, you'll be wanting to pick these up and use them in Underworlds or maybe in your games of Age of Sigmar as well. So, yeah.
That design of orc is some of my favorite that GW have done in years.
Yeah, it's very different.
Like
way less cartoony than what they normally do.
Yeah.
Probably it's a mix of that and they look more like Tolkien sort of corrupted elves rather than massive slab-faced things.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a fungi.
More Urukai.
Yes, more Urukai. Yeah, and it's really nice that they kind of. I think it's one of the things that's quite good is that they tapped into that idea of I mean, they call them hobgrots now, but you've got the hobgoblins and this kind of style of orc being thrown into the mix. And they've always been teasing Chaos Dwarves, Chaos Dwarden. So you never know.
Get them back at some point with the massive hats.
Yes. Maybe they'll come back in the old world. No, they won't.
Coming out of the cigarettes. Yeah, I don't even think that made the list. It didn't even make the list for PDF.
No.
Shame. Well, not for me. I've got Tamercan. It has the Chaos Dwarf list in it.
There you go. Jerry's sorted.
No. And I've got the old
that's all
army
that matters. Jerry's well set.
And I've got the old army book there as well.
Yeah,
so.
There we go.
Whoosh, done and dusted. Right, enough news. We should take a quick break and come back to wrap up the show. All right, we're back. It's time to check out some 3D printing. It's a teeny tiny little 3D printed one.
It is. Yeah.
Daddy.
It's a Wethertine.
So, Hexworld has a very Mighty Empires feel to it.
It does.
Which is good because we've been talking to people about Mighty Empires a fair bit recently.
So this is one that popped up on my radar because what I tend to do now when I go into my manufactory is I go to tribes and then I click new. And this is a company that's been set up fairly recently, actually, over on there. I'm not sure if they do stuff separate from my manufacturing. They might do. But as you were saying, Jerry, this was giving me very sort of Mighty Empires campaign style feels. And considering that we're looking at stuff to do with adventuring and things like that over the winter period, I thought this kind of stuff would be very nice, especially if we're looking to put together a big full adventure where you wanted people to explore a big map, or if you wanted to just play war games where you're going to be going out, and attacking cities and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you're playing something like Oathmark and you want to be doing big map-based campaigns and you want to dive in and play around with your kingdom.
Especially as your kingdom grows.
It does.
Circles, yeah.
These would be really great for this. So, as you can tell by the images, these are hexes. Who would have thought it? That you can clip together to build huge maps. And obviously, these kind of things can tend to be costly if you're going to be getting them in plastic and stuff like that. But if you want to get in and get yourself some lovely STLs and start building up really nice stuff like this could be a very cost-effective way for you to create huge maps for you to be playing games on with your clubs and all that kind of stuff as well. And I absolutely love the detail on these as well. I think the towns look lovely. All the little wall sections, the little tiny trees in different places as well. And there's big, nice statement pieces as well. So you've got things like the cathedral there. In one of the other pictures, we saw like a massive world tree that they've done as well, which I think is really nice. Mountains and all that kind of stuff as well.
Looks like Stormwind.
It does
move that castle back up there and give it a harbour.
I would love to build our D&D world off this as like a map to hang on my wall.
There we go. How cool would that be? Yeah.
That would be very badass.
I know, I'm not sure it was I think they were done by someone individually, but Zorpazorp recently did a huge Middle-earth map using hex tiles, and that kind of very much put me in mind of that. And you could do that for Middle-earth, or as you say, Justin, your own world that you've been working on for your various fantasy games. But a lot of people really love the idea of campaigns, and I think having something like this is a really great way to kind of encourage people to stick with it and keep going. Because if you have something as lavish as like a big hex map, like the sort of set up in a shop or set up in a club or something, I think these really help to kind of draw people's eye and be like, oh yeah, I definitely want to go there and do that and all that kind of stuff.
In fact, I tell you what you could do with this. You remember the Star Trek game Ascendancy, where it's you going and exploring planets? You could do it with this, but more medieval style. So you're building your city, building your society, and it's only whenever your hexes connect that you can actually start trading and fighting with each other.
Oh, that could be cool.
That would be a very fun game.
And have like a little fog of war thing in the middle, whereas you're sort of exploring things as you go and covering the world. That'd be nice. Yeah.
That would be very interesting to do, to retool that rule set to do it medieval style.
Yeah. But as you can see, they come out really nicely. It's not something massively new. People have been doing tiles like this for donkey's years. But it's nice to see somebody bringing it to life in the 3D printing sphere for you to dive into and have some fun with. And there's lots of different options, as you can see. So
I'm digging it.
I really need to know what these symbols and letters are around. Why are they there? I was trying to work out, is it to connect specific, like this should join on to another forest / whatever piece.
Might do. Yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be any, I don't know what's happening.
It's the Illuminati.
None of it makes any. I don't know.
It shouldn't. You're not a member. It's fine. Don't worry about it, Chief.
What's happening? Yay. I like that. Mighty Empires was a really great campaign system. I'm trying to remember, they redid one for like a Heartbeat in the early 2000s, which had plastic tiles, but not enough that you could actually do anything with without beggaring yourself and your children and their children's children for generations to come, which is a shame. Because hex-based campaigns are so much fun to do.
They really are.
And this has some really interesting pieces covering the covering everything you need. Mountains through the plains and
does all the different
points
biomes
in between.
Yeah.
Look, Crate Dragon. You're on Tatooine. Surprise.
Oh, you could actually do it like blind. So you could put all these into a bag, and as you're exploring, you're drawing a random one out and then making it fit.
That could be cool. Yeah. It's a game within a game.
So much you could do with it.
A very specific set into the bag, though. Because otherwise,
you have a plains set, a forest set.
Yeah. Because otherwise, you starkly transition from plains into mountain region with between.
Like playing Carcassonne, but with.
Well, I mean, if you did like multiple bags, so I'm going to draw from the mountain set. I'm going to draw from the transition set.
Yeah. So each of the hexes, as a nice little aside, they come with 3 variants to them. So you can have them with hexes with that just join without magnets. So you can have them tabbed. You can have them tabless, so you can put magnets in so they click together satisfyingly.
And now we know why.
Or you can have them with tabless with holes in, so you can have markers and flags put in if you wanted to. Which I think is a really nice little addition. So some nice little.
And of course, if you know the conjuration, you can use the symbols and letters on the side, and they'll do all of it for you without you having to think. There must be a reason for it. What does Club Mountain Hexagon mean?
Jerry surrounded by candles, casting bells.
D-hexagon. But you can't match a D-hexagon with a D-hexagon, because then the hexagon aligns to the D, not the hexagon.
What's going to happen?
How do I contact these people to ask them what that means?
This is going to be like a Stargate thing.
Technical
Eventually, you're going to work it out, and you're going to assemble in the right way that all the chevrons will lock. And you'll open a portal.
That would make sense. That would make so much sense. There's nothing in more information. Hexworld, who are you? Yes, Hexworld. See that more information part? If you see this, listen to me. If you see this, tell me what that is. I needs to know.
Oh, that's going to bother Jerry all the way through the new year now.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'll email them a long time before that happens.
but it's coming up to Christmas. They might be busy. They might not answer you till the new year.
They've got a month to Christmas. And maybe they don't celebrate Christmas.
Possibly.
So, I could be quit.
They about Hexmas.
Could be that. Right, there we go. Hexworld's tiny little Mighty Empires-esque set for all your hexy goodness. Cool. Yeah. It's very, very hexual.
Yeah, very hexy.
We have some Kickstarters to see us out.
Yeah.
And we're going to be starting off with some very, very small things.
So, if you're looking to dive into some Dark Age warfare on the tabletop, then you'll probably want some Vikings or some Saxons or maybe some Franks. Well, Smol Miniatures, lovely name, are on Kickstarter right now with a project that allows you to get your hands on some 3D printable bits and bobs for 3D printing yourselves some of those Dark Age armies in either 15mm, which you can see there, or you can scale them up to 28mm and they work just as well. I think the proportions of these match particularly nicely for 15mm. I think it's really good to kind of emphasize that heroic nature to these. And I think these would be super fun, dropped into all sorts of different fantasy games like Fantastic Battles and all that kind of stuff. I think these would be brilliant for that, especially if you wanted to go down that kind of, as I say, like fantasy Norse Viking route. But there are loads and loads of options, as you'd imagine, with most campaigns that are 3D printing based. You've got your spears, you've got your swords, you've got your Viking longship as well, which I think looks amazing. They've also been working on light infantry as well. They've done berserkers. They've got shield maidens. And as I noted at the start as well, they've also been working through stretch goals and that kind of thing to add Saxons into the mix. So you've got some enemies to fight as you go raiding, alongside the Franks as well, with some Frankish cavalry and stuff at the same time. So they've definitely sort of covered the bases when it comes to the kind of two essential forces that you need for Dark Age warfare, especially if you're sort of focusing things around 1066 and the like, between the Vikings and the Saxons and stuff. But I'm no doubt they're going to go even further with these as they dive deeper and deeper into the range and grow it as it goes. But yeah, Really nice stuff, I think.
Perfect for Tiny Saga.
Yes, Tiny Saga. Exactly. Perfect.
Tiny Saga's the way to go, definitely. Or Age of Penda.
Age of Penda. Yeah.
Where you
Lovely
just need
stuff.
lots and lots of tiny little men screaming at each other.
Yeah. And because they've got
round horses.
Because they've got so much stuff, I think you've got the makings of some really nice, diverse armies. So you're not going to be stuck with, I've just got spearmen or something. You've actually got all sorts of bits and pieces that you need for playing the game, and sort of filling in all the gaps for, your bowmen, cowards, and everything else.
I like the fact that the shields appear to have the engraving on them for actually painting your symbols and stuff. That'll make life so much easier for anyone that grabs them.
Because at 15 mil, one layer of paint's going to obscure that line anyway, so you'll never. It'll look freehand.
Yeah. And then they're also doing
monks and peasants
separate shields as well. So if you've got all the stuff individually, and then you can sort of bring it all together. And,
is there? I was about to say, is there kite shields?
Oh, that'll make Lloyd happy.
Right off the bat, that changes a big chunk of that from being Saxon or Danes into Normans. Right off.
Yeah,
nice.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Really nice campaign.
Those are just a thank you, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Well
so
done.
It's one of those nice ones where it's very simple and easy. You just, back it and away you go. You've got that big set and you can run with it. There's even a commercial license in there. So if you're somebody who produces a lot of stuff for 3D printing through Etsy and the like, you can pick up that option. And
for £27.
Yeah. How mad is that?
Wacky fun.
Exactly.
It reminded me I've got 15 mil Vikings coming to me at some point for that longboat game. So who knows? Who knows where it will go? Yeah.
Support's been done as well for them. So if you are looking for supported versions of these and unsupported, they do that. So,
coolness.
So 25 days left. Already funded from Smol.
Good old Tom. Smol. Yeah.
And they're really nice. Yeah. I think you're right. The 15 mil. 10 mil sort of scale, the bulkier proportions are going to be better for that.
Yeah.
Really highlight them.
Vikings were big and beefy anyway.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah. So moving on, we've got another campaign that has just started up this week as well. So this one comes from Chromacut Studio. We talked about these folks a little while back in the news. They are now live on Kickstarter, funding their battle-ready buildings, which is their set of full-color, flexible, and easy-to-assemble MDF terrain for use on your tabletops. They've designed these very much, at least the first range of stuff, to be focused around the kind of like grimdark future-style games. So if you are playing things like one-page rules or Warhammer 40,000 and things like that, these would be a great fit for them. They've also been designed so that they match up with the WTC's rules and things for terrain as well. So if you are someone who's a club or a store, this would be a great thing for you to dive into and pick up, because it will allow you to just saturate your tables with loads of stuff that you just have to assemble, and away you go, which I think is a great way of doing things. They've been assembled from laser cut MDF, but then there's a printing process that they've gone through where it's kind of like baked into the material, and it's done with a hard wearing process apparently. So it's very sort of
robust.
It's robust, and it's protected against the rigors of gaming, by which I mean people with Cheeto fingers,
greasy fingers,
rubbing their hands all over things.
So it's made strong.
Yes. The other thing that is quite nice about this, and you'll have seen it in some of the images of the larger buildings, is they've got modular elements to it as well. So if you wanted to block off certain windows, or if you wanted to play around with different things as part of the buildings, you can sort of slot those in and cover up doorways and things like that. Great for if you're trying to make particularly objective focused buildings and stuff. They've also got little tiny details that you can plug into the bits between the windows as well, between the floors, which I think is quite nice. And obviously you've got things like walls and scattered terrain and cargo crates and all that kind of stuff. It's essentially all the things that you'd want for making a grimdark battlefield, really. It covers all those bases. And what's quite nice is that it's got that kind of Gothic ruin style feel from older 40k, whilst also having that look of kind of classic retro paper terrain as well, like the cardboard stuff that you would have got in boxes, which I think is quite nice and will certainly fit with some people's retro ideas for armies. Get those goblin green bases out, folks.
And throw your dice at it.
And throw your dice at it, yeah. But yeah, so it's a really nice little set of stuff. They've got a couple of different designs for you to look at. So there's like a slightly more imperial looking set of buildings. Oh, look, there's me. And then some stuff that's based around slightly more chaotic styled landscapes that you wanted to put together. As I say, if you're somebody who wants to get tabletops together very, very quickly, this kind of stuff I think is great. I know that Microart did a series of World War II buildings in a similar style, and they have been lapped up because people just want to build tables very quickly. Sometimes terrain painting can be a chore for a lot of people. They just want to get their armies together and start playing games. So stuff like this is great. And so seeing Chromacut,
quite spicy. Quite spicy for a full table.
And so seeing Chromacut dive in and do something like this, I think is a nice little option there as well. But yeah, great opportunity for somebody to dive in and play around with some stuff as an individual, or if you're a store or a club, maybe band together and get some stuff for your gaming tables there as well. But a nice little option, and I'd be interested to see what they do next. I'd love to see some fantasy stuff as well from them. I think it'd be really fun.
That'd be fancy. Fancy. The printing technique that they use on it, sort of the next step up from the flat colored. It gives you a nice level of depth, so you're not having to bother doing any more detailing if you don't want to, or you can if you want run a paint pen down the joins so you can hide the MDF. I know
the joins aren't too obvious.
No,
it's really nice.
On some of the darker ones, they're much more masked. So I think if there's a red one, might stand out a bit more. I know somebody was saying about the interior one where they had like lanterns and sconces, and it's on all of them. And it includes like the just half destroyed sconce is still lit up. They were saying that there were obviously prototypes, the initial prototypes, so some of the designs will be tweaked and changed. So if you've got a half a wall missing, it will not be lit by a light, because presumably that's been explorated. But tokens and widgets are handy as well.
And you get the sort of radar station as well, which I think is quite a nice little addition for the Kickstarter too. So I'd say basic to begin with, but a really nice finish to these, and it'll be fun to see where they go next with it. And as they go through stretch goals, hopefully over the next couple of days, we'll unlock more themes, which will be really nice.
Themes and buildings. But that's it. Once they've got the set of designs done, they can start adding additional and change up the look. So you get a very different looking set of buildings for just a quick change of design.
You print down on
top. Cool. And/or the gang. 11 days left. Not funded yet, but
fingers crossed.
Getting there.
I imagine 40k fans, once they start seeing it, will be onto it like rat up a drain pipe. So I mean, it is. It's
scaling up the trousers.
Throw it on the table, off you go with your life. Move on. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You
a vermin in a bin.
Pledge. Yes. Right, we have one last.
We do,
Broken Star Kandar.
So this is another small company coming to Kickstarter with their first range and game. So this is Lorecaster Studios, and this is their game called Broken Star Kandar, and their miniatures range as well. So the game that they've planned is a cooperative game for 1 to 5 players, where you'll be heading to the Valley of Kandar as freelancers, mercenaries, who have been tasked by the companies of this sci-fi world to go and suppress raiders and make sure the settlers are happy, maybe kill settlers. I don't know, maybe, probably, depends what your
keep the peasants in line.
Keep the peasants in line, do something like that. So yes, you'll be diving into co-op missions where you'll be playing through sort of narrative-based scenarios. You'll be going down to planets and sort of talking with the locals and sort of building up a repertoire with their a rapport with them. That's the word I'm thinking of. You'll be gearing up and working out what you need for specific missions. Then you'll be going out to do these different scenarios. They could be combat ones. They could be narrative, sort of conversational ones. It depends on what you're playing with the game. And then you'll come back and you'll enhance the story and continue it going and stuff like that later on down the line. They've got a sort of rough outline of how the rules work as part of the Kickstarter. So you'll be able to go and sort of see their vision for what they want to do. It's a D6 based one with sort of action point systems thing, which looks quite nice. But I think one of the big selling points for this range at the moment, and what they're bringing to Kickstarter, what they're going to be doing through Patreon next year as well, is this miniatures set. I think the miniatures look lovely. I think even if you're not going to be playing Broken Star, these are going to be great for people who want to play 5 parsecs from home, or they want to dive in and they want to do some stuff for Stargrave. These would be
Rogue
great
Stars,
for both Rogue Stars as well.
Zona Alpha, anything,
yeah.
especially the settlers for things like Zona Alpha, because they look like They look like the corporation hasn't sent these people to protect them. They've been sent to drive them off their land because they know that there's something. Unobtainium is heavy and rich in that valley.
Yeah, therefore they require freedom.
I like the hunter who looks like they're wearing some sort of furry, fleecy blanket. As like a half-assed ghillie suit / poncho.
So yeah, they break down into a couple of different sets. You get the freelancers, which are the freelancers in the Unity team, which are your kind of like heavily armored, badass mercenaries. You've got the settlers, as Jerry's showing off there as well. And there's 2 sets of different raiders. So you've got the lightly armored raiders, which are kind of like your Mad Maxian style dudes, or your disgruntled miners, perhaps.
Tactical axes.
Tactical axes, yeah.
Tactical because it goes in your skull.
Well, tactiax, so attacks.
Yeah. So you got some really gun and knife.
Another limbless fella.
Yeah, I like to think maybe that's his name. Gun knife.
Gun and knife.
Yeah. So yeah, some disgruntled workers for you to pit against your mercenaries on the tabletop. I think is quite nice.
Quite clearly had enough of your shit, as they say.
Yeah. I was getting some Red Faction vibes from some of this stuff as well, which I think is really cool if anybody remembers that game.
I was getting a little bit of vibe of Homefront.
Yeah, Homefront as well, definitely. Yeah. They've also been working on things like fauna and flora as well. So in addition to fighting against the likes of the raiders, which you can see here, God, I love those dudes with the melee weapons. It's so cool. Don't know how well they'll do against the guy with the assault rifle, but there we go.
Just rocking out with a piston out of a car. Yeah. I need club. This will work.
But you've got animals that you can come up against as well. You could use these as pack animals and objectives, for example, on the tabletop. Obviously, of course, you're going to have feral beasts ranging around too, but they've got terrain and bases and accessories and all sorts of different things that you can print off for use in your games. As I say, either for Broken Star when you get your hands on the rules, or for lots of other sci-fi games at the same time. But they've really laid the groundwork, I think, for a great miniatures range here, and there's loads that you can pick up for a pretty decent price as well through the Kickstarter. As I say, they are going to be going to Patreon next year to do more for the range and sort of grow it. I would assume we're going to see stuff going through My Manufacturer as well, probably, where you can get your hands on a lot of this stuff individually and stuff. But
space pallets.
Man, going back to that pallet discussion. Yeah. Anyway,
the space forklift now.
The space forklift, yeah. Maybe it's just done by the creature with the tusk or something.
Yeah.
So you got some really nice options there, as I say, and the rules. It sounds like a great idea. I know a lot of people are really enjoying like cooperative style gaming at the moment, and so having something like that to dive into could be really fun. Hopefully, we see them flesh out stuff in terms of what you get for that at the moment. But in the meantime, I think diving in and just getting the miniatures, I think, will be a great step for a lot of people. Because as I say, there's loads of games out there that will take these miniatures, and they'll look lovely for it as well. So yeah,
very well designed.
Yeah.
Where are we? Core set is presumably all of that, is it?
It's all of that, yes.
And what's the Legend of the Valley?
I think it was you could
rulebook, complete pack of models for printing, in addition to all the stretch goals, blah blah blah. You choose this reward. You also choose one of the core sets, maybe the stretch goals with a custom version of your face.
Be in the game.
Yeah,
you can be a freelancer.
Disclaimer: please note that if you are fugly, you will not be done.
Oh,
that is very harsh.
That counts you out, Justin.
That burn! Right in the feels.
I'll tell you what, for regardless of how much work is still to be done on the rule set itself, you can already see they've put the time and effort in to what they need to play. So the factions, the animals, plants, the tokens, the terrain, the objective markers. Even
your baseline is all there.
So there's been a lot of time and effort in this already.
A very solid vision of what they want.
Yeah.
And it's just 2 people working on it as well.
Really?
So,
well, I'm also seeing use of AI in the tabs.
Yeah, to do some of the artwork and things. The books and things. But yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're looking for some more sci-fi stuff.
Fab.
Very nice.
20 days left to go for Broken Star, and you two can get a piston and Shake It Like a Maraca, because there was one with two of them. I assume it's some sort of Space Raider band that you can put together as part of one of the scenarios.
Clearly that's what they're meant for this.
Yeah. Right. That's enough of us for tonight. We shall return on Sunday for the Cult of Games XLBS over on tabletop.com, where you can join us for more waffle if you feel like you need it. And who doesn't on a Sunday morning when you're post-hangover? If that's not for you, you can join us here again next week, where we'll have another show packed full with all the miniatures news you want. And some of you probably don't. You're getting it anyway. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.